So I'll start with a very brief introduction to Parvez. He's an engineer by training. He has done his BTech at IIT Delhi, and he is also a master's in public administration prior to joining JSDP, and then post JSDP, he has his master's in public policy. He graduated in 2021, so a little bit, immediately in the aftermath of COVID, and not really the aftermath, almost like during COVID. His research interests lie in the domain of clean, renewable energy, e-mobility, technology, and public policy. During his master's degree at JSDP, he has worked on research projects related to renewable energy, primarily using qualitative research on solar energy and e-mobility. It's interesting because Parvez began his QRM research with Professor Bhuvaneshwari Raman, and then he did an advanced qualitative research methods with me, and he continued on the same topic. He was awarded the Best Student Researcher Award and Outstanding Leadership Award for all-round performance by the JSDP. During his master's at JSDP, he has worked on internships with the International Solar Alliance, the OECD Development Center, and Council on Energy, Environment and Water. After his master's, he is now working with E-Oxygen Automotive Private Limited, a New Delhi-based startup company as the COO. So he is a very high position, a Chief Operating Officer. He is also writing a book chapter on solar energy in India, achievements and adoption challenges. It's a book on India's energy revolution. So without much ado, we can begin with this very important meeting with Parvez, because I still remember personal intro. First class I think that I took for Parvez, was it lawn policy or gender and development? I don't remember which one, but you followed me
Yeah, it was
immediately after class.
yeah,
Yeah, was it law and policy?
yeah. I mean, the title was LGI, Law, Governance and Institution in our time.
Institutions, yes. Yeah. And you followed me immediately after class, and you said, well, I'm interested in working on energy and environmental issues, ideally sustainable energy. And you had a very clear idea about what you wanted to study. So the most obvious question is, you are an IIT graduate. I mean, people who graduate from IIT Delhi, they get fantastic jobs, and they move on to really bright and promising careers. So the burning question, therefore, is why did you decide to get into the domain of public policy? What happened? Can you tell us, immediately after IIT, what you did, then what you did at a later point, and how you landed up here at JSCP?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you very much, ma'am, and the students at JSDP for inviting me and hosting me. So I'll share my journey and my perspective. Obviously, I mean, it will be my perspective, my observation. It may not be the absolute, right or wrong. There are ways. So I'll just share my, story or journey, let's say, so that it can be helpful. And hopefully, uh, if there are any questions that we can take up. Now, to answer the question that, being from the technology background and that too from IITs, that people have, at least in India, they have this that image that, okay, if somebody is from these IITs, then they will land up in technology or management job, high paying, well paying jobs or so. I mean, that's the general norm, at least in India. Now, I mean, in my case, what happened that during my graduation, or rather undergraduation, sorry. So I did my BTech in 2013, around 9 years back. So, and during my undergraduation, I mean, at least in the last year or so, I thought of preparing for civil services exam, which many people, including the engineers, they prepare. So, and there I opted for public administration as one of the optional subjects. We have to select an
Mm,
optional subject. Now,
mm,
interestingly, in undergraduation, we are offered courses on social sciences, let's say, non-engineering
mm,
or
mm,
so. Now, what happened? Those courses are mandatory in IITs. I'm not sure about
mm,
other engineering institutions. So now that was the first interface with, I mean, for me, with the social science. So that was an interesting. I mean, during obviously an engineering candidate will feel that okay, this is a very different, uh, uh, let's say outlook that you have to proceed
mm,
with while dealing with the social science
mm,
courses. So that was my first interaction, as in now there were courses like on sociology, e-governance, digital technology, also including rural development.
mm,
Now, just after my undergraduation, I started preparing for civil services exam, and I wrote, I think, at least mains 3 times with public
mm,
administration as a optional subject.
mm,
Now, during that time, I mean, I could not uh, succeed in that journey of the civil services exam. I
mm,
had a thought that, why should I waste this, let's say, efforts that I put in of 3, 4, 5 years or so. So I did masters in public administration while preparing for the civil services exam mains also. So that was my first MA, you can say. And
yeah.
interestingly, I opted for dissertation in that MA. So that was on policy, public policy only. And I mean, the reason was that I had an understanding that because there was a shift from kind of engineering to social science because of this public administration, governance administration. That became my
So, in a sense,
so
I mean, your interest in public policy actually began even during your studies in IIT Delhi. So, we have to thank actually the humanities education you received there. Um,
yes.
yeah, yes.
So I was clear. I mean, after graduation or at least in the final year, I was clear that I will not follow that conventional path of into going
Mm,
into corporates or going into MBA, let's say.
mm, mm,
So that, and interestingly, what happened, or rather incidentally, when you are into a certain path, then you develop that attitude also, and
mm.
you feel that that is the right attitude. Obviously, I mean, everybody has their own personal situation also, but irrespective of that, every profession, be it education or
Yes.
your
But
job,
immediately
let's
after you graduated, what did you do after you got out from IIT?
yeah. I mean, I could have gone for even let's say in 2013 or uh, I mean later on, couple of years down the line. I
Mm,
thought that should change my field and go back to the technical field also because
yeah.
even in the final year I had a thesis, BTech thesis that was on
Yeah.
technical line also, and I was doing quite good also in that.
Okay.
I hope, yeah, I hope you remember that in the first
Yes,
meeting.
yes. This is fabric, right? I mean, this is fabric technology, I think, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So you were doing pretty well. You got out, and then I think you attempted the UPSC also.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happens when you prepare for this UPSC exams and all? It helps you to build a comprehensive outlook, because you
Hmm.
have to study almost all these subjects also, so especially from the social sciences
Hmm.
also, which are completely or rather entirely new for people like engineers.
Hmm. So
So
governance
in
and
a,
those kind of topics, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And now what happens during this period, especially during the for my MA in public administration, I realized that there is a need, especially for me, to go for a formal training, especially in the soft skills, like
Hmm.
communication, research writing, especially writing. I mean,
Hmm.
I was not at all good in writing,
Yes.
which which, I mean, I explored a lot during MAPP at the
Yeah.
SVP.
So the
So
question then is, I mean, there were so many options for you to do a formal master's degree in public policy. Why did you choose Jindal? Why
yeah,
JSGP?
so there were two options for me for going for a master's, let's say. So first I was, uh, exploring abroad outside, whether Europe or US, and another was within India.
Hmm.
Now, the major question before me, and even now, let's say, even if I get that chance today, I
Yeah.
think that what is, return on investment, even if you do
Little
it from India,
ROI,
any
ROI, huh?
yeah, that is quite, crucial.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I did every detail like, okay, what will be the fee, what will be the job that I will be getting, and investment. Now, investment is not just in terms of money. The time
Hmm.
will also be a major investment because in
Yeah.
2 years you can do a
2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
2 years is a long time because many institutions, uh, few in India and also abroad, they offer 1 year program also
For the
in masters.
MEPP. Yeah. The Masters in Public Policy. Yeah.
Be it MBA or public policy, there are many courses I think in recent years have come up.
Yeah.
Many,
But
they
why? I
offer.
mean, you're not telling us why JSGP in particular. Yeah.
So first was concern for, I mean, not doing from abroad was the return on it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the major concern for me. Now, from India, what happened during that time? There were a few institutions,
Yeah.
in the institute like Analyst Bank or TIS Mumbai
Yeah.
also, and
Analyst
in
and TIPS. Yeah. Yeah.
this, yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So basically, I had three choices. Let's say,
Yeah.
Analyst, then TIS, and then JSDP. Now, I calculated and I did an analysis of ROI from all these three institutions. And the
Hmm.
criteria for me to join JSGP was, I mean, there are twofold reasons. One was obviously the infrastructure, and also, because JSGP was the first institution, so it has had that experience.
Yeah.
Another was the faculty. That was the major, because I went down to all the, their teachers and
Profile.
all these the websites, institutions, and all. So, and I discussed it with my friend. Now, I'll tell you, honestly that you see in India, not now, but at least 3, 4 years ago, there used to be, and even now there are. If you are from government institution, then you are very, critical about private institutions.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
same thing was with me also. That how will it be, doing your MA from a
Hmm.
private university in India? So
Yeah.
that was a major question for me, and I discussed it with my colleagues, my friends, and all. And then because I mean, you see, every institution comes up with its own value system,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And also the what will they deliver? Let's say analyst. Now analyst comes up with the public policy and more inclination towards law. Similarly, I mean,
Hmm.
this has more inclination towards social studies or rather no development studies or so. JSDP is
Hmm.
more towards economics or so.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean you have to take a call. So this was my default choice, let's say.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And when I joined, I mean I asked all these questions. What is your acceptance ratio in this course and all? I got a
Hmm.
lot of
Answers.
numbers.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I mean, so I appeared for the entrance exam by JSGP,
Hmm.
and so after 1 month or so, I was, I think, offered the scholarship also.
Yeah. I think you got a full scholarship, isn't it? You got the Haryana domicile full
Yes,
scholarship. Yes. Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
it was that my tuition fee will be waived
Yeah.
for 2 years, and so the criteria was that I mean, whenever you apply for any, let's say course, so they
Yeah.
evaluate your profile. Now, that profile
Hmm.
consists of a couple of things. First and foremost is your performance in the exam, including your interview. And another criteria, I mean, which I was told was that your undergraduation, your marks and all. So, I mean, based on those criteria, and a score is built up for each candidate, and then you are awarded that scholarship. So, my scholarship was awarded first was 1 year, and then based on the performance in each semester, it is extended. If you
Hmm.
don't perform well, then it will not be extended, obviously.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are the criteria. I mean, if you get scholarship, then you have that, okay, you have to perform well.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise,
Yeah. So now take us through, I mean, what happened after you joined MAPP? What are the things that you did right? Maybe some things that you did not do very right, that you wish you could have done, during your studies here. Take us through that. What happened after you joined? How did you sort of maneuver your way, the internships, and then the capstone? Because I think, that's really the question that most of our students ask us, right? How do I get to my capstone? How do I get an internship? I want to get an internship in this place. How do I land up there? So, yeah.
yeah, sure. So first, I mean, interestingly, what happened when I was considering for master's courses, obviously I didn't join just after my undergraduation. Also, I was of the opinion that okay, let's go for some break. Break means gap. I should
Hmm.
go for some experience
Hmm.
and help me to relearn as a student.
Hmm.
So I mean, before MAPP, I was clear that okay, what will be my courses and what will I be doing in those courses. So let's say in the first couple of weeks down now in the first semester itself, I was doing an analysis. Okay, that in these at least in the first semester, what will I be doing, and what will I be getting? Let's say after at the end of the first semester.
Hmm.
So that was my thought process during those weeks, first few weeks, let's say.
Hmm.
And I was clear that okay, this will be my domain, so I will be focusing on that. And internship will be my first priority after the
Hmm.
first, because I was very new to the social science and public policy. I didn't have
Hmm.
any experience. I
But
was
also the fact is that before you joined us, this work experience that you had was also not on energy or environment. It was in something else, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Hang on, Parvez. I think there is something wrong. Suddenly, I'm not able to hear you. I
Ma'am,
think
he's on
somebody.
mute. He's on mute, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, he's
Who
on mute.
muted? Who muted him?
sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Parvez. I think you're on mute. Yeah. Did you unmute? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope okay. I'm not sure where did I leave. So okay.
Yeah.
So I
No,
was
I had just asked you, I said that you didn't have any experience on energy before you joined. So, it was all the more important for you to get your internships on energy, right?
yes, yes. Not just energy. I mean, for from public policy perspective, I was completely new because my
Hmm.
experience, be it education or the work experience, it was more in the engineering or the technology field. Actually.
Hmm.
So that was a major, concern for me, being a professor in the public policy. Any new field, you have those concerns. So
Yeah.
similarly, I mean, I was completely new and in the social science background. I mean, right now I don't have those questions or insecurity, let's say, but I used to have those
Yeah.
insecurities in that time. So that was my first criteria that I'll waste my time, especially those 2 months in between the semesters, be it at
Hmm.
the each of the semester. So now what happened? Our batch started in last week of August or so, and a couple of weeks later, I started exploring the
Hmm.
opportunities for the internships in the
Hmm.
September itself. And I started approaching teachers and the office for career services,
Hmm.
people who help you to explore and get the internships, and also
Hmm.
our seniors.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, in energy sector, what happened? They were. I mean, again, you have to look for the organizations. Now, looking for when you explore, irrespective of the field, I mean, in public policy, either you go for, I mean, I was making a list that, okay, these are the list of organizations. Categories were like think tanks, NGOs, then the non-government, I mean, so government organizations, then the corporates also. And
Mm-hmm.
so what happened in September itself, I remember that I approached the Office for Career Services, and I directly showed them, okay, this is my CV. Okay. So every time I, used to go with the hard copy of the CV in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the OCS office used to be around Jericho office
Yes,
that
yes,
time.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I mean, so what happens after a couple of weeks? There, everybody knows you. Okay, this is the candidate who is looking for this some internship in the energy sector. Then, I mean, people cannot help you unless until you are clear. You have to do your homework that these are the organizations where you will be working and in
Mm-hmm.
which domain. So you have to go with that, cover letter kind of thing also. So they will
Mm-hmm.
ask, okay, please give us some writing. Okay, what do you want to do? Because this is the thing that we will be sending across to the organization also. So down the line, what happened? In the month of October, that is after 1 month or so, uh, while exploring these organizations, because I was in the environment sector or energy sector. So the obvious organizations were like Terry or so, then
Mm-hmm.
Fiki was doing some work also. So what happened? Uh, our dean and Professor Sudarshan and the Office for Career Services. So they had this contact in International Solar Alliance. Now, I
Yes,
was not there.
I think Sudarshan and Hemlata, right? Both of them had some contact there. Yeah.
Yes, so they had worked in UNDP earlier. So
Yes.
now International Solar Alliance, so people were there from their, on deputation also. Anyway, so what happened? I told them, okay, I want an internship at these places. So International Solar Alliance was my first, criteria. But it was, I mean, obviously there is a process
Yeah.
of inviting the organizations also. And it takes time.
I see.
You
So
can't.
they did they actually then invite the organization here to Jindal?
Yes.
Oh,
So
I see. So they visited us.
yes. So
Ah, okay. Okay.
They visited us in the month of November,
Mm.
mid-November. So what happened? Now, interestingly, I'll tell you how did I land up in International Solar Alliance. This is also interesting because the people from OSIS they were there in my interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened in the first semester? Wherever I got any opportunity, I went for topics related to environment and energy. Okay, that I was clear that I'll not, go with any other topic if given
So
any choice.
all your assignments you did on this.
Yes,
That's what you're
almost
saying.
10.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
what happened? I'll tell you exactly what did I do in first semester. Because in first semester, all courses are, core
Yeah.
courses. So what happened? There is a course called Introduction to Public Policy Process. Uh, in this course, we had to do this policy memo.
Hmm.
Now I opted this on electric vehicles, e-mobility,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
and that was my first, you can say, exposure to clean energy. And in QRM, that is qualitative research methodology, in that
Yeah.
course, I opted for solar energy. Now, what happened? Interestingly, most of the, I mean, many people, which across the batches they do it, that they select their, field work within the university. Now, I was clear that okay, I'll not do this
Ah.
university setting. I'll
You
move
did
out.
not want to do field work inside the university like the other students.
No,
You
no,
wanted to do it
yes,
outside. Okay.
that I was clear because I was like that. Okay, it will, be a lot of it will be a lot of work, but at the
Mm.
end of the day, it will be good learning for me. That I was of the opinion. I mean.
Mm.
So what happened? Me and there were other people also in my batch. We went
Mm.
outside and because I mean, my topic was completely new, solar energy. Other people were doing on other project based on their interests. So I went to a village in Sonipat nearby the university. So that was my first field visit and field-based project in clean energy, you can say, in the
Hmm.
first. Interestingly, what happened when the people from International Solar Alliance, they visited JSGP. So there were people from JSGP and also the JSIA, International
Hmm.
Affairs, all bachelors and the masters.
Hmm.
They simply asked, uh, does any one of you have any background in solar energy?
Hmm.
Interestingly, okay. And they interviewed me, they grilled me a lot,
Hmm.
okay, and in front of everybody, by the way. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so my interview was like they grilled me in front of everybody, and it was on renewable energy, solar rooftop, and that too in public policy only. There and
Okay.
then they decided that okay, let's put this guy in solar rooftop. So they
Okay.
assigned the supervisor also in that meeting also. So I was
Oh my
very
God. Immediately. Immediately. Okay.
happy. So that's, I mean, you never know what happens. It's a
Yeah.
step-by-step process. Let's say if
Yeah.
I would not have had any exposure in solar energy or clean energy for that matter, I mean, I'm not sure whether I would have gone to,
If you mean to say if you're not written any assignments on that, right? Yeah.
yes, yes. Because what happens, it's not about, getting an internship.
Hmm.
The important thing is whether you are getting the right project based on your interest.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the major criteria. Let's say even in solar lines, if I would have gotten any other project, because people from MBA and BTech, MTech, everybody comes there for internship. I mean, what's the usage if I'm not doing any work related to my career interest? So that was
Hmm.
my thought. So it's a step-by-step process.
Hmm.
Based on the field work that I did in the first semester, I got an opportunity at the International Solar Line. So it was a 2 months internship, January and
Okay.
December. Yeah.
And then
Before,
what happened? And I think then did that then open doors to other things? Were you able
yes,
to make networks? How was it?
yes. I mean, first, this you see, International Solar Alliance. This is an international organization. This is not a Indian organization. So it works on UN system. So they follow that UN
Hmm.
chart. So people are not permanent there. They are on deputation. So people from World Bank, UN, UNDP, even bureaucrats in India, they are there on deputation. Now, first time I got an opportunity to connect with them. So that was, I mean, and I was clear also that this in networking will help me later on also. So I started building networks. I mean, no, whenever I got an opportunity, I used to, I mean, showcase my work. Now, this policy memo I showcased to somebody in the International Solar Alliance who was at a very senior position in NTPC, and he was on
Hmm.
deputation at Solar Alliance. Okay, so I got
Hmm.
feedback. Okay, so people, a few, one or two people from Niti Aayog were also there. So it was a very, you
Hmm.
can say, very good exposure, especially for a first semester person in the MA.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the one important thing that I would like to emphasize is whenever I did any work, let's say, so the most important thing was that I have to document it. Let's
Hmm.
say even in the classes or the internship, I had documented everything. So at the
Hmm.
end of the day, the project report of the International Solar Alliance, with the work
Hmm.
I did there, though it was not mandatory, but I documented it so that it
Hmm.
can be helpful later on. And it
Yeah.
helped me
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
That
What do you
was the
mean by documenting? You mean to say you sort of, put it up online, or what do you exactly mean by that?
documentation means it has to be in a proper format so that you can
Mm-mm-mm.
showcase it to somebody.
Okay.
And
Okay. So
also,
you use this stuff that you were producing during your internships so that you could show it to other people.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Because what
Okay.
happens? What happens generally? People, because let's say down the line, you may not even remember what did you do.
Mm,
Okay, the details. So you have a chance of going back to that project report
mm,
internship report, whatever you call it.
So that all of
So
that then became a part of your CV, essentially, right? I mean, all of these things that you've written, you sort of started putting them together along with your CV. So that would go as a add-on document to your CV to future
yes,
employers, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what
Okay.
happens in CV? It's not that you have to just mention there's a name of the place and the organization. It's important that what project did you do and what was your outcome or output, let's say,
Hmm.
for that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's important. Outcome may
Okay.
be like, okay, this is the skill that you did, and output can be okay. You worked on these projects. So I worked, let's
Okay.
say, on Latin America and African countries. I
Hmm.
mean, I international alliance, they don't work much on India. They work on
Hmm.
outside.
Hmm.
India is a
Hmm.
leading
Hmm.
country, according to them.
So yeah, but then after this, then you went on to do your capstone and other stuff. So tell us, how did you manage with, that kind of networking and then coming back to working on India specific issues later on?
Yeah. So what happened? So after first internship, let's say, in the second semester, I got decent, exposure to clean energy, let's say. So what happened? I opted for now. Now here the important thing will come, and I think everybody, including bachelor and master students, they will face this dilemma.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dilemma is on what criteria they should opt for the courses.
Yeah.
Now my
Yeah.
criteria was simple. Even if you will not get marks, okay,
Yeah.
because students always have no a list of courses and professors that okay
Mm.
these are good professors and here the scoring is good bad, okay. I was clear that even if my marks will not be very good, but I'll go for these courses. First criteria was that I'll go for quantitative course skills
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
econometrics and statistics.
Yes.
So that was
Yeah.
first thing. Another thing was QGIS, quantum geoinformatics system.
Yeah.
So this is one of the like skill or software you can say in an environment
Yeah.
everybody should do.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
was the advanced qualitative research methodology that I did under you,
Yeah.
and I mean it was like that I built upon the first semester work that I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I remember that.
So
Yeah.
and there was another course, gender and development, again by you, and I opted for energy based course also on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I have all these documents after, and I mean, whenever I used to approach anybody for
Mm.
internship, so I mean, these documents helped me to, showcase my work list. So
Mm.
people started taking me seriously.
Mm.
So that,
Documents meaning, once again, I must remind students with the assignments that you wrote, right?
yes,
Yeah.
assignment.
Yes.
Now that assignment
Yeah.
has to be in a, you say the writing should be research oriented, not a journalistic writing. And
Mm.
it has to be serious writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was important. And interestingly, what happened? There is a career committee in JSGP.
Yeah.
Then second semester, we were offered by career committee itself to apply for an internship at OECD Development Center Paris. And
Mm.
many students got this opportunity in our batch. So what happened initially? It was decided that it will be a 3 months project
Mm.
because of the COVID. It was work from home. Now what
Yeah.
happened? It's based on our so in that application we asked for, I mean we submitted sample writing also. Now based on that sample writing we were allotted the uh, units.
Mm.
That was the important thing, that based on my documents I submitted, and I was assigned a unit called Structural Policies and Innovation Unit in the OECD Development Center. And in the
Mm.
first meeting itself, what happened based on my CV, as you can see that by that time, at the end of the second semester, I had few projects to showcase on clean energy, primarily solar energy, then internal solar lines also. Now, in the first
Mm.
semester, I mean, sorry, on the first day, I received an email from my head. I mean, interestingly, she was the head of that unit also. She was
Mm.
my supervisor, and we had a meeting in the first or second week of that internship. Now, there and then, it was a long, you can say, meeting, around 50, 60 minutes meeting. And they decided,
Mm,
okay, they announced there were other people also that, okay, Parvez will be our lead researcher. He will be working on India. We'll be just assisting him. So they were
mm,
so
mm.
that, okay, he's ready to manage things.
I
I
see.
was like,
I
okay,
see.
I am. I was like, okay, no, I am not limited to India. I can work outside also. You don't worry. No, no, no. You
Okay.
work on India.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So this
so
is actually an opportunity that Professor Milindo Chakrabarti, I think, brought for all of you
yes,
students at that time, right? Was this just in the beginning of COVID? I think was it in 2019, if I'm right?
yeah, it was
This
in
OECD
20,
thing, 2020,
May, June 2020 onwards.
June 2020. Okay, so it was bang in the middle of uh,
COVID.
COVID. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
So I mean, if you see that we didn't have any, lack of opportunities.
yeah, yeah.
If you can, if you have worked on your profile, if you can showcase to the prospective employer, then you can get decent opportunities.
Mm, mm,
Okay. Now, what happened, as you can see, that my both the internship were at the international organizations, including Solar
mm,
Alliance. And okay, so I mean, I was like, okay, I have had good experience of international organizations, especially for a
mm,
student for first year down the line.
mm, mm,
Now, the international, sorry, OECD Development Center, what happened? Uh, they extended my internship on the first day. They said that okay, 3 months is not a good enough time. Let's extend it to 4 months
mm,
so that we can write a research report or so. And my project was on solar energy and development in India. We did a study in state of Rajasthan, and
mm,
then based on my work, they announced that there will be a seminar conducted by OECD. So in the month of September also, there was a seminar also conducted by them where the people were also invited. Also. So that gave me an
mm,
exposure of
mm,
public speaking or presentation, let's say. So
mm,
this is the thing at the end of the first year. So this is the
mm,
journey, step by step you have to work. Now, similarly, what happened at that time, because in the third semester, you have to decide, start looking for the capstone. Now,
mm,
here the real no struggle happens because
mm,
your capstone will decide almost everything,
mm,
especially not everything, as in that, especially the initial aspect, as in what kind of job you will be getting. You can explore, you can do experiments in your internship, not an issue. That may not affect you much
mm,
negatively or positively.
mm,
But your capstone will be a deciding factor, especially in getting the job, right kind of job, let's say.
mm,
And capstone, what happens? There is a criteria in JSDP that it has to be approved by the dean.
mm,
And there are these, I mean, list of organizations that, okay, if you can convince the dean, okay, this is the organization, you can do your capstone. Now, what happened again in the month of September or so, I started
mm,
approaching people, including our faculty members, then my, other, let's say, where I did my internship, including OECD and
mm,
then Solar Lines. I remember I was approaching one person from the World Bank. He was on deputation.
mm,
He was at a senior position. Now, on
mm,
call, I managed to get a phone call with him. And what happened? He asked me, okay. Then he said, okay, we have to see. His response was that, okay, we have to see your work first. Parvez. It's not like that. It's not that that I can guarantee you things. No, it doesn't work like that.
yeah.
Okay. So what happened? He said that, okay, first tell me what's your specialization. Now I was
Mm,
of the opinion, okay, solar. If I say solar energy, then it will work. Okay, because
yeah.
clean energy is a big thing. Solar energy is okay. Then he said, no, solar energy is a huge topic. You see, huge topic. In solar energy, what do you want to do? So again, I mean, every time you will get these questions.
Mm,
that okay, which domain, which subtopic you want to work in solar
mm,
energy,
mm.
in finance, investment, rooftop, utility scale solar, technical technology, office. There are a lot of fields people work,
Yeah,
including
yeah.
policy. So policy is just one of the aspects. Obviously, public policy will include all these. Yeah.
Mm,
This is one of the things that I would advise. I will advise students that this is a kind of a process that you will be, working for your profile, so that at least after 1 year or so, you get a, understanding. This is the domain that you will be working. This is the specialization that you have, gained over these
mm.
1 or 2 semesters. Let's say this is the one thing. Now, regarding capstone, what happened? As I told you, that I started approaching people, and so interestingly, what happens
So
when you
when did you do this? Just to give students a bit of an idea, when did you start looking out for a capstone? Because I think capstone is only Jan onwards, right? So once
yes,
you're done with your exams, December onwards, you can do the capstone. So tell us a little bit.
yes.
When did you?
Yeah, capstone you have to do at least for 4 months. That is from February to May,
Hmm.
and at max you can do it from mid December to mid June or so. Now, what happened
Hmm.
in I was I started looking for a capstone in the month of August itself. In the
Hmm.
month of August,
So
writing.
one semester, even before you're required to start the
Yes,
capstone, you started
yes,
looking out actively for a capstone. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It is equally applicable to the capstone and also dissertation. If you want to go for dissertation, you have to start approaching professors, and this process is same, and you have to get the
Yeah,
approval
yeah.
and all. So what happened with the capstone? In the month of August itself, uh, I started approaching people, faculty, um, my previous networks, and also interestingly, during when I was doing this field work, in QRM and the AQRM, I
Mm,
started
mm,
building
mm.
contacts. I interviewed
Network.
lot many people.
Yes,
I
yeah.
interviewed lot many people, so I was
I
knowing
think
personally.
I think I remember, your AQRM especially, advanced QRM that you did with me, where I think I told you, I'm less concerned about your actual project, but more concerned about the networks that you make. That at least at the
Yeah,
end of that project, I wanted you to build a lot of networks in that area, right? Yeah.
yeah. So what happens? Because my project was like that, stakeholders were multiple, private
Yeah.
companies, solar developers, and even the consumers, including and
Mm,
also the government or non-government agencies. So by then
mm,
I started, working. I had connections with people in, let's say Terry also, though I haven't done any internship with them because of this
mm,
QR and AQRM interviews I
mm,
conducted.
mm,
What
mm,
happened? So I started having calls with them. Okay, what are my
mm,
prospects? Where should I, go? Then you started having some, internal, what's say, information and knowledge. How recruitments
mm,
happen, especially for internship. Now, every organization they have different criteria, selection process.
mm,
So what happened? Uh, so I was, applying to multiple organizations, let's say, including Terry. Then also there was an opportunity to work for the capstone with the OECD Development Center also. They also
mm,
agreed
mm, mm,
to extend my project. Okay. But I was of the opinion, okay, no, I'll not do work with them now. This is enough. The reason was that, especially the job prospects.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
I
mm,
was of the opinion, okay, because that is maybe I am not sure. At that time I was also thinking that maybe because that capstone at OECD may not help me to turn
mm. Turn
job,
it
let's
into
say.
a job. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the major criteria at that time. So what happened? Our senior, I mean, mm, Meghna Nair, she was working with the CEW. It's called Council on Energy, Environment, and Water. And earlier, as you can see, that I worked with the international. Now I was international organizations. Now I was inclined towards any
Mm,
Indian organization. so that I can
Mhm.
work in the Indian ecosystem. So there I applied, and because at the you can't approach people like that. There they said, okay, she advised me that you can only apply for open position. So that
Mm.
was the first criteria. And in the month of
Yeah, I
September,
think I think Meghna had written to us, I think, telling us that she had this job.
yes,
And I think I forwarded her mail to you, I think, right? I said, why don't you check this out? Because this is an alumni, if I remember right. Am I right?
yes, yes. So she had
Yeah.
written to you and other teachers, and then you forwarded that
She
email.
she she was very grateful when she found that job. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So similar, I mean, at that time I approached her, and then she said that, okay, Pravesh, you have to apply to the open position. You have to, keep looking at
Yeah.
this. And after a couple of weeks, few weeks, let's say, there was an open position in the as for renewable energy, sorry, and
Yeah.
there were
Yeah.
lots of projects in that position. Now, what happened there? The criteria for this, no, selection process was not easy. Let's say, first you have to submit the application. They ask you your profile, writing sample or so. That was ready with me because I had done work, in at least
Yeah.
1 year. Then I submitted. Then there was an interview with the concerned person. Then they asked me to write a research paper. Now, writing that research paper
Mm.
was not, let me tell you, because
Mm.
the topic was such that you'll not find much on the internet. So
Oh.
here, all those skills of research writing will come in. Yeah, so that I will advise the students that I mean, in this process, you have to really, really work on your research writing skills. It will help you.
Mm.
You may feel it that way, that it will not come in handy, but it will come right, while applying for
Mm.
CAPS,
Mm.
especially in the public policy domain. So that's most important. Then what happened after writing that, each step you have to clear it. Then the final step was there was again an interview with the head of that unit.
Mm.
So there were two rounds of interview and one research, writing a research paper. And in the last week of October, I was offered this position. Okay, it was a
Mm.
6 month position. They were
Mm.
willing to join me immediately, but I said, okay, I have my classes till mid December. Then they
Mm.
waited
Mm.
for me till mid December. They said, okay, we can wait, not an issue, but
Fantastic.
come when
Yeah.
you are free. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's great.
I joined for Capstone from mid
Mm.
December, mid June. So that was my Capstone, and it
So
was
I
on.
must sort of say that this is very entrepreneurial, right? I mean, you did not wait for the Office for Career Services to do something for you. You just went ahead and actually found a proper job for your capstone, right? A 6 month position
Yes, yes, 6 months.
for your capstone. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was a paid position actually. So this,
Hmm.
I mean, many organizations they pay, and most of these
Yeah.
open positions, you you go through that process. No, it's not that easy.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that we should sort of, clarify to our students, that a good number of our students who get capstones are paid, right? There may be some positions that may not be paid, but there are many other positions, more, the private research agency kind of positions, all these consultancy organizations, you actually get paid during your capstone. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, wherever I worked, they were almost, I mean, they offered us either some stipend or some, other facilities. For instance, in
Yeah.
International Solar Alliance, I mean, it was more than stipend, let's say, because they offered
Yeah.
us, lot of things. They offered the accommodation within that campus. It's a very good
I
campus.
see.
Okay.
Okay.
Food and everything was arranged by them. So, I
I
mean,
see.
so in a
Yeah.
sense, it was
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So that's the
Yeah.
benefit of. But I mean, students should not look for the paid or unpaid. If the work at the organization is good, then they should go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that goes without saying. Yes. So from this organization where you did your capstone to then finding this job that you're doing right now, so how did that take place? What was
So
the
what?
what were the
Yeah.
links that led you to?
Yes. So what happened? I mean, by that time, because you see, in MAPP, the 3 semesters you have courses. Final semester is dedicated to either capstone or the dissertation. You don't have any courses. So
Mm,
what happened? I was working full time with them for 6 months, and that project again was not some doing some desk or research or so. It was again a fit work in a sense that they, because we had to conduct surveys or so. So I started building again contacts and networks with the companies or other government organizations. In that, we had
mm,
to interact with the ministry officials also. So now I'll also tell you, I tell the students that you see, communications, if you ask me what is the skill that is most important to pursue a public policy
mm,
career, for that matter, any career, especially, when you have postgraduate degree or so, first important skill is communication skill. Find it, I mean, you see, it's not that easy. Communication skills,
mm.
you build it, you build up over time.
Yeah.
And communication skill does not mean how do you speak or how do you interact. Interact means how do you interact even through emails? How do you write that?
Mm,
That's that you know that will be a lot of influencing thing. Because let's say if you are writing to anybody, if you are approaching anybody, the way you write that can change the reply of the person. So I would say it's
mm,
I'm digressing. I'm sorry from your question, but first
mm,
important skill is communication skill, then research and writing. Okay, it will be helpful, quite helpful. So these two skills. Third skill will be your the any hard skill. Let's say if you have any software skill, so that will be helpful in getting your job. Because whenever you send your CV or a profile to any employer, uh, and because even from last more than a year or so, I have been directly responsible for recruitment. I'm telling you from this my experience that
yeah.
people get lot of profile, lot of CVs.
Yes.
You have to
So
work.
you're now actually on the other side. You're actually recruiting people, right, in your organization. So I think
Yes,
it's important for students to hear your take on it now as COO. So yeah,
yes. So
carry on.
yeah, okay. So I'll take up this question later on. Before I'll answer your first question, that how did that
Mm,
job happen from the capstone to the
mm,
job? That thing is quite crucial for the students. Now, what happened? My capstone started in mid-December, and most of the students they will be in a lot of uncertainty and tension because of not getting the right capstone. Because JSGP
mm,
will help to get the capstone. So if you the if you are sorted well before, then you are easy to go ahead. Now, what happened? I received a call from some NGOs. Director. Then he had a brief call with me about my profile or so, and they were quite happy the work I was doing alone. Now the NGO was Mars Foundation, Mobility Alliance and Social Sustainability Foundation, and New Delhi based again. So
mm,
based on my profile, I was offered to lead their public policy department. So I
mm.
was appointed as the head there.
This was
Uh,
still in your capstone, right? This was still during your capstone when they approached you. Yes. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So as you can see, it was more like a part time.
Mm,
So it was working on e-mobility again. So what happened based on my, prior experience, maybe had, they approached me and they offered me, okay, why don't you, build up and work on this. public policy department. Most of them were engineers working in e-mobility and clean, environmental sector, also in various organizations. Now, what happened that uh, that exposure helped me a lot because I led a team of more than 10 people under my, direct, you can say, department, right?
Yeah.
And then there were at least, I think, a couple of directors there. They were very senior people. So I learned a lot with them. Interestingly, one of the directors, he was an entrepreneur and he observed me in his organization, CEO. So that was the.
Okay. Okay. So you actually got your job through this other job with this NGO, through this part-time thing with this NGO, right?
Yes. And
Yeah,
interestingly, what
fantastic.
happened, there were also option for me to join think tanks also, including the CW and the other where I was
Yeah.
looking for. But I was of the understanding, okay, this is a better option, career path, let's say,
Yeah.
at least for a few years, not
Yeah.
longer.
Okay.
That's why I joined that
Yeah.
organization. And because it
Fantastic.
was
I mean, so you were actually, the fact that you started everything. So I'm just going to wind up so we can open up for questions, and maybe that's when you can sort of jump in with some of the other advice that you have for students. Is that you started very early, starting right from first semester, within 2 weeks of joining, starting to look for internship, and then beginning to make contacts and connections. The contacts and the networks that you made through your QRM is very interesting because you generally think that students will do their QRM projects just for marks, but you were actually doing it for network, right? You were going out there and telling them, I want to interview you, but through those interviews, you also got to know these people working in holding very important positions in these organizations working on sustainable, renewable energy, right? So I think
yes,
there's a lot really to learn from you, and that's the reason why we started off this policy careers with you because I think this can provide our students with some sort of a sense of what it is like to to actually start off as a student with zero experience, which is true. In your case, you had no experience on sustainable or renewable energy. And
yes,
then through those 2 years, slowly build up those competencies to then arrive at this position that you graduate, you have your first job in hand, which is a very senior position in an organization, in a company like this on e-mobility. So I think we will should we take questions, Parvez? Or do you
yes.
want to say something before taking questions? So, let me say, let's ask the students to raise their hands, and in the meanwhile, you can say if there's something that you want to add. Are there any questions? Anybody wants to go first? Yes, I think I was expecting Karthik to raise his hand first, and he proved me right. Karthik, yes. You can please go ahead and turn on your video if you want. Huh? It's up to you, but yeah, please go ahead, Karthik.
Hi, Kaveri, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Hello, Pavez. It is nice to see you again. We met last time you came in the campus arranged by Lita ma'am, I think.
I remember.
So yes, this session was all about how you focus to build up as a public policy to build a career in public policy. There's one slight confusion which I have been quite which I faced here is that the area of specialization. Now, while I was interacting with one of the organization, while I was interning there in Patna, Asian Development Research Institute, ADRI. So, what the internship in charge told me was that, listen, if we want a specialist in a particular area, we are going to look for that specialist from that particular branch. Like since my interest area is water, I'll find out a specialist in water science from say TIS, or some directly from an engineering background. So as a public policy, should we also build a domain in other spheres, also at the same time keeping one area of interest or two areas of interest, and also build skills or some research work or some article through articles? How should we project that to the organizer, that I have worked in this sphere also, this sphere also? Or should we just project ourselves that my area of interest is this, and all I have done is in this field only?
Right. First of all, thanks, Karthik. I mean, this is a situation. Now, what is happening? I'll tell you that public policy in India as a profession is at a nascent stage. Majority of the people, they don't have no much understanding on public policy. Okay, so that's why they will say, okay, we don't know much about you. This is a very fascinating name, masters in public policy. People have heard it first time. Okay, so even I faced this situation. So I can tell you very much from my even my experience, that is it related to MBA, or the way you are saying that, okay, if you are applying to a position, any position related to water resources, let's say, why don't they hire it somebody from the water sciences, or no anybody doing it from, let's say, environmental science, to be exact. Okay, because many institutions, they offer masters in environmental sciences or sustainability also. Okay, in including FERI, right? Now what happens, you see, there is a difference, I'll tell you. These positions, now it depends on the project work. So what happens, including even in within my firm, let's say, this position, this situation happens. Now what happens, that let's say, I'll give you my example that generally I face. Now what happens, that let's say, if we are looking for a person who is a specialist in electric vehicle. Okay. Now, electric vehicle as a technology is a bit new in India. Okay. Now, what happens, that we have to look for people who are in the automobile industry. Okay. Similarly, you will face this situation that you are in the public policy field, and side by side, whether you are having any specialization, be it environment or any other field for that matter, energy, solar, water. Okay. So this situation you will face. Now, the best idea to navigate through this, I'll tell you. Problem, okay. So I'm not going to elaborate on the problem. I'll give you the solution. You have to work on the skill building. Now, how to work on that? You first explore and go to these positions and look for no, their job description. What are they looking for? Now, the best idea is if you can match their requirement. Now, how to do that? Most of these organizations, they will be looking for, if it is in the research domain, then they will obviously, first thing will be your research writing skills, that you can prove them through any, let's say, article of your on that domain. Okay, water resources, let's say. Another is, most of the times they will be looking for people who have certain software knowledge. Okay, let's say QJS. In environment, this is like mandatory. Okay, and then they will be like, okay, you have some survey methodology, qualitative research, right? Any software like MaxQDA, NVivo, generally they ask for, and then SPSS, Stata, or R. Okay, these kind of softwares, if you have, then you have higher chances. Then you will not get these kind of, generally you will not get these kind of results. Let me tell you. And I'll give you another example also. So we interviewed one candidate who was much senior, even much senior to me also, and I interviewed him. He was having 15 years of experience in the automobile industry. And through this example, I'll tell you that what is the job scenario. This is the job scenario is not very good. It is ruthless, to be honest, in India at present. Now, what happened? We were interviewing him, and he was from the automobile industry. Okay, now you can link it with the public policy because public policy is also a new, emerging field. Similarly, e-vehicle. Now you will find that uh, people don't have a specialization in e-vehicle technology, at least from the education. They have to have it from the experience, industry experience, skill. That is skill. So we are looking for skill. Now here the negotiation happens. How an automobile person will work and perform in the e-vehicle industry. Are you getting it? Here negotiation will happen. Okay, this is the skill that I am getting in, whether the skill is transferable into this domain or not. Okay, so these are the things. So I will advise you that please, look for those job descriptions and start building on your profile. That is most important. Otherwise, mind it, if your profile will be average, it will be very difficult to navigate, irrespective of the institution. Even if you are from a good institution, doesn't matter if you don't have, that skill. Obviously, I mean, I'll tell
So
you.
Parvez, if I can ask you, I mean, maybe if you can tell us about what you do in your position vis-a-vis other technical people from this area, what kind of work they do in your organization, right? Because
Yeah.
I think if I'm right, you are actually heading a technical team
Yes,
to do
yes.
the trainings, right? So can you tell us a little bit more so that way maybe Karthik understands this difference between technical jobs and public policy jobs, which are more
Yes.
management and government interface, right?
Yes. So being a CEO, my overall responsibility is the smooth operation, to be precise. Now here I have to first deal with the stakeholders. Now stakeholders include mechanics and the different agencies, our I mean, people in the corporate sector who provide us with the raw materials also, and then government agencies, including the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. I mean, at regular intervals, we have, because we are their partner in training, conducting training, so we have to, submit report to them frequently or regularly. Okay. Now, what happens? I am leading because technical team in my company, technical team performs two tasks. First is obviously the conduct of training. That training is a hands-on, on-site training. It's not online just only, but on-site training. That is one thing. Here, the people from the technical background, they work. Okay, and then there are consultancy projects also. Here we design customized electric vehicles. Customized electric vehicles. So two tasks, as you can say, parallel tasks happen. So this is the task of the anybody who is from the technical background. Let's say if anybody from water resources, he will be a technical graduate. Okay, he'll not be a policy graduate because his task is to perform the water technology, not the water policy. And policy will come into picture where the who will be overseeing and interacting with all these departments, all the factors, all the perspectives that anybody from the management or the public policy background will do that work. That's the difference. And mind it, I mean, they are not replaceable. Though people replace them, they are not replaceable.
Hmm. Okay, so I mean, I remember also you telling me that you have to, because your organization provides trainings for the Ministry of uh, Labor, right? I mean, yeah. So
Yeah, so
you actually have to deal with the government. Um,
yes.
so you do
So
that interface on behalf of your organization, right? Yeah.
yes. So what happens whenever there is any interaction across the organizations, let's say, then I lead that as part of
Okay.
my portfolio, you
Yeah.
can say, my mandate, because I have to
Yeah.
lead that. So that is,
Yeah.
I mean, just not just India, outside India also, we, I mean, we have stakeholders, especially in
Yeah.
training and other
Yeah.
space. consultancies. And I mean, it has helped me over the last 1 year or so, especially in now, because there are different ways you can't deal, corporate players similarly on with the bureaucrats. Bureaucrats have a different mindset. So
Yes. Yeah. So you're able to speak
so,
that language more easily because of your public policy background, right? The language of, yeah.
definitely.
all
I
right.
mean, you see, whenever you interact with anybody, be it through emails or so, I mean, your communication skills will will be crucial. I'll tell you what
Yes.
happens generally where the public policy or the economics candidates where they can do well. First thing is in corporate sector or even in NGOs. Generally, people don't have these communication skill, good communication skill. I'll tell you exactly. First of all, people have um, you can say not very good writing skills. They don't know
Mm-mm.
exactly how to write good emails. That is first.
Mm-mm.
Second is your presentation skills. Generally, in the corporate sector, people know, especially nowadays, every presentation is going online. So there are different, styles of presentation.
Yes. Yes.
The
Yeah.
span of attention is limited, for everybody. The screen. So
Yes.
you have to
Yeah.
adopt those, creative ways of increasing the
Mm.
span of attention through your creative presentation skills. So these two are
Mm.
important skills which you have to deal, on daily basis. You can say. So that I'll
Yeah.
advise you that the
Yeah. That's
students should.
a Yeah, that's a very, very good piece of advice. Yeah, actually, it brings us back once again to this whole research and writing thing, which is really a core skill that students should. There's another student who has raised her hand. Deepanshi, do you want to go next?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm a BA Economics honors student, and I'm
Not
planning.
a problem at all. I mean, you can turn on your video if you want.
Yeah, just
Yeah. I'm glad our BA economics students are joining us. Yeah, carry on.
hi. My name is Dipanjali. So actually, I'm thinking of pursuing masters in public policy, and at the same time also aiming for UPSC. Since you appeared for UPSC, I wanted to ask if a master's in public policy can actually help with the preparation of UPSC, so that we can do it side by side, or maybe after having a master's degree.
Okay, because even I have gone through this, journey. So I'll tell you. You see, first of all, these two are, different journey. You can say different journeys. So you can't, let's say, if you will join any institution for that matter for MA public policy, okay, any means not just India, anywhere. First of all, most I mean, the MA public policy at any good institution, it will be a research-oriented program. Okay, so in my opinion, you will not be able to spare much time for your preparation. I mean, otherwise it will be like half-hearted, effort on both the sides, which you may feel guilty later on that okay, I should have gone into that. Okay, because right now, because you are into your bachelor's degree, you have that leeway, early 20s. I'm talking into that age wala factor, so you can experiment. Okay. Other thing also, obviously, this writing skills and all they will be helpful. But if you want to go ahead with your master's degree, any master's degree for that matter, I would advise you that please, no, there should be a gap. Right now, whenever we do this, bachelor degree or even master's degree, so what happens? We are in a student mode. Okay, we have to de-learn this. Now, the learning phase, learning mode at every level is different. The learning level at bachelor's is different. The learning level at master's is different. PhD is different. Okay. Now we have to come out of that phase. Otherwise, it will be same, and it will be very difficult. You will be in the first, second, third semester, and you will be like, okay, what's the outcome? right? So that thing I'll advise you that if you want to go ahead with masters, uh, there should be a gap in terms of you can go with some experience. Okay, if you want to go ahead with your preparation for civil service exam, not an issue. You can go ahead with that. But if you have this public policy post graduation in mind, it's not advisable to do it after just after your graduation. That's my opinion. That's my understanding. I mean, it does not mean that we should not do. Obviously, it will be your call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice, because a lot of students just immediately do a master's and then come and do they do a bachelor's and then come on to a master's. So if you work in some domain before coming to your master's, then it becomes clearer to you whether really, that's the field that you should be studying in your master's degree. I think that's what Parvez
Yeah,
Parvez
and
is
one more thing,
suggesting.
ma'am. Yeah, and
Yeah.
one more thing I to add here, as you rightly said, that no. Now, what's the way ahead for anybody for that matter, be it a bachelor's degree or a master's degree for anybody, that in which field they should go ahead, on what basis anybody should decide their specialization, let's say, right? Now, what happens, let's say, if I am interested in gender studies, okay? Now, whether I should go ahead and go for specialization. Now, generally, what happens, students or anybody, they build up or their liking or disliking based on some courses or some writing, art assignments or so. If they get good marks, if they are comfortable reading that, then they start. Then they build their decisions based on that. But later on, it may be the other round also. Let's say in your bachelor degree, you have a liking for defense studies, okay, or even macroeconomics, public finance also. But in your MA economics, you may not be, liking that, because the whole, what do you say, the rigor and the real, academics that happens later on. You may not be aware of that. So that's why it is advisable that you take a gap. In that gap, you can obviously, retrospect, you can go for a job, you can go for some exam preparation, so that you will be, moving out from that student zone. That is important.
I really like that piece of advice, move out from the student zone, right? Which is very class and exam oriented. I think in the very first orientation session that we had for public policy students, that's what I told them. I asked them, why are you here? Please write down, in your book, why are you doing a master's or a bachelor's in public policy? And what are you planning to get in these 2 years or 3 years? And why are you here in terms of what are your career plans after this, right? I mean, that should largely dictate how you organize your studies within JSDP. So Deepanshi, thanks for that question. That's a very good question. Actually, a lot of students have this question, will it help me if I do a master's in public policy to do my UPSC exam? We've had quite a few students actually taking up MAPP with that idea of writing their UPSC exam. I think one of the students in the very early batch also managed to pass her UPSC after the MAPP. But as Parvez says, it may not necessarily be a very easy thing, because a master's is a full-time thing, right? I mean, you're engaged in your courses, your work, you're sort of, it's more career-oriented. So that's something that you might want to think about and reflect about. So I'm just waiting to see, are there other questions, or Deepanshi, do you have something else to say?
Actually, I wanted to talk about something else. It's a little off topic, but I'm part of the entrepreneurship club in our university. So I am an ambassador of alumni relations, and we are soon planning to have a mentorship program for the startups at JGU. And we are reaching out our alums who work at startups, or maybe like they have their own startup. And I read about Parvez, Mr. Parvez. So actually,
Yeah.
sent you a LinkedIn request, and I want to reach you out for that. so that if we
Okay,
have
Parvez, you have to then respond to her LinkedIn request. I think
Sure,
that's
sure, sure.
fantastic. That's great. What you're doing is great, Dipanshi. Yeah, so I'm sure Parvez will respond and
Yeah, we'll connect.
and it also shows that your entrepreneurial spirit can actually begin during your studies. I mean, these students have gotten together to do this, startup thing. Could you tell us a little bit more about it, Dipanshi, so that other students know and they can also
yes,
join
ma'am.
you if they're interested? Yeah.
I think it's for us startups at JGU. So we're soon planning to have a mentorship program, or maybe we'll collab with some other university or something like that. We haven't worked out like what will be the framework of
Mhm.
the program.
Okay.
We're reaching
Okay.
out. We're reaching out our alums so that they can
Mhm.
on board with us and guide our startups at JGU to
Yeah.
because many of the startups are testing their projects right now or
Yeah.
very at their initial stage. So that's
Yeah.
why we're reaching them out. That's why
I actually know a student who is here on this meeting, Samriddhi Diwan, who is very entrepreneurial. I think she's also had, started her own startup, which is very policy oriented. She's a fresh master's student in 2022. So Samriddhi, you should get in touch with Dipanshi.
yeah, sure.
Ma'am, definitely.
Yeah, great, great. See, you have an avenue here, right here in JSTP. All right. Okay, great.
Thank
So I think, it's been quite a while now. It's been almost 1.5 hours. So we should bring this to an end, but not before asking this question that Akhil has, which is, were you part of any in-house college academic clubs? If yes, how did it help you?
I mean, in masters, I was not. I'll
Uh,
tell you. So I mean, because in my previous no education, I mean, the programs I was there. So to be
yeah.
honest, I'll tell you, because it requires a lot of commitment and time.
Yeah.
So during my undergraduation, all those student politics and all, so we were part of that. So now, interestingly, here I was of the understanding that okay, let's focus more on the research. So that's why I did not join, though I was willing to join few clubs like public policy or so, but I could not join. But otherwise, I mean, my entire focus was on the this research and the internships and all. Now,
Hmm.
I would not, I mean, advise students not to do it, but limit it to few, one or two max. If one perfect, one club you can do it, because I have had this experience both positive and negative during my
Hmm.
undergraduation also.
Hmm.
So I mean, one or two are like more than enough. Otherwise, your studies will affect negatively.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
piece of
the idea.
advice. Yeah. Thanks, Parvez, for taking out the time to come and talk to all of our students. And I'm hoping that they reach out to you and ask you for advice as and when needed, but also that we have more occasions to meet. If you're here, if you come down to JSDP, it would be great for all of us to meet in person and for the students also to meet you. So let's see if we can plan something like that. So with that, I think I should bring this to an end. I'm quite surprised there's still 29 students in the in the meeting. Thank you very much for attending, all the students, and thanks, most importantly, thanks to Parvez to come, for coming here and sharing his experience and how he did things. Very, very crucial, very vital information. You can get a few tips on that, on how to plan, and especially the fresh master students. You have a lot to take away from this, as well as the fresh BAPP students. You have a lot to take away from this conversation. Thanks, Parvez. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. It was nice interacting with you and the students. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye. Thanks. Have a nice day. Thanks.